Out Lounge, a safe space to be you and your truth with coming out coach Rick Clemens. Rick's expertise in the coming out process has helped hundreds of men and women step out of the closet to live authentically as gays and lesbians. Freeing you from the feelings of guilt and shame, Rick's heart-centered approach is loaded with bankable advice and take action tips for living powerfully on the other side of the closet door. Each week, the Coming Out Lounge brings you heartwarming coming out stories, thought-provoking insights, and diverse perspectives for living out and proud. Pull up a chair and spend an inspiring hour in the Coming Out Lounge, stepping out, stepping up, and stepping into living your truth. Here's the host of your show, Coming Out Coach Rick Clemens.
And here we are once again. Tickle me pink, and maybe even tickle me sassy, or even tickle me every color under the frickin' rainbow for all that matters. But there's just kind of something funny about being gay in a straight world. And I don't mean funny like, oh, I've got a swish, or funny like a drag queen. I mean, we're still a few weeks away from even having the drag queen on the show, so stay tuned for that. But there is something really, truly humorous around every corner of the world when you look at it through the eyes of a homosexual. Yes, there's trials and there's all the gay rights stuff we got going on. But, you know, when you look at the world from our eyes, it really can be a really super funny place, provided you allow yourself to see the humor in what's going on around us. And even through some of those most trying times when I came out of the closet, and for most of you that are either starting that journey or have been out who listen to the show, you know, coming out and being gay in a straight world, you can find the humor in just about anything you want to. And today, we're not going to waste a whole lot of time with intros and stuff. We're going to jump in really quickly here because I've got a great guest today. He's a comedian. He's also an Irish Catholic Jewish gay comedian on top of that, and he's going to join us here in just a moment. But before we jump in, I want to just remind everybody that you're here in the Coming Out Lounge. It's a safe space to be yourself, and if you want to call in, ask questions of either me or my guests, which I'm going to introduce momentarily, please feel free to do so. And also, if you're listening and you want to tweet out something about the show, my tweet handle is @RickClemens, and the hashtags we use for the Coming Out Lounge are #CO Lounge and #Coming Out Lounge. So, what's funny about being gay? Well, we're going to start out by asking some of those questions to my great guest, Scott Backman. Hello, Scott. How are you, bud?
Hey, Rick. Doing great. Doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, sorry to wake you up so early on a Wednesday morning because, you know, you Hollywood types, you sleep in because you work so late at night. So
Exactly.
You know, you bitches just can't seem to get out of bed. So, so anyway, welcome to the Coming Out Lounge. I decorated it fabulously just for you because I know how picky you comedians are if you're not in the right space at the right time. So what do you think of the Coming Out Lounge?
I love it. I love it.
It's just such a fun place to come and hang out, especially early in the mornings on a Wednesday. But so anyway, Scott is a comedian. He's also an actor. He's done some commercials and he's done some TV and some movies and stuff. So he's not just Mr. Funny Man, but he is here with us. And if I remember right, Scott, your Twitter handle is @Scott_Backman. Is that correct?
That's me.
Okay, cool. And so anything funny that Scott says, we'd love it if you would tweet that out as well. But so we're going to just kind of jump in and start talking about what it's like to be a gay comedian and some of the things that happen when you're out on the road and in LA. So my first question, Scott, would be, you know, seriously, living in LA, being a comedian and being gay on top of that, what's that really like?
It's just a recipe for a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that I've always wanted to do ever since I was a little kid. Never thought I would be doing it. I never thought I would be the person I am today doing it.
Right.
You know, being out, being gay, with my full support of my friends and family.
Right.
So it's truly an honor. It's definitely a blessing to be able to follow my dream. Being exactly who I am in this crazy, screwed up town,
right?
And absolutely loving it.
Right, it is a really crazy, screwed up town.
Oh,
I mean, I love
ridiculous.
It's just some of the stuff that happens because I come in and I do some radio shows from time to time on other people's shows, and then I hang out with some of my other coach friends and stuff. And you know, it's a crazy place.
It is completely ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's not.
people come from. And I mean, the sense of reality is completely warped, but it makes me feel normal.
Right. Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Oh, well.
And normal is the catchphrase of the day. It's like everybody's like, why can't you just be normal? I don't care if you're gay, straight. There's always somebody who's always like, just be normal. And I just want to go, so please define normal for me so I really understand what that means in today's world. It's just
exactly.
crazy.
I think me feeling normal is feeling less screwed up than some other people.
Oh, I love that. Less screwed up than other people.
Exactly.
And I think that's a really good, you said a recipe at the beginning. I think that's a really good ingredient for the recipe is just feeling less screwed up than other people.
Exactly. Because, I mean, especially, how crazy the world is. It could always be so much worse.
Yeah.
And even the worst can get worse. So I'm just, thankful for what I have and where I am at this point in my life.
Yeah, and you do a lot of comedy shows around LA and San Diego and all over the place. It's not just here in Southern California, correct?
No. I definitely traveled. I've been up, I've done all California up to San Francisco.
Yeah.
I've done Chicago, New York, Boston.
Yeah.
In the short time that I've really been doing it.
Right. And how long have you been doing it?
It's just almost a year.
Right. Right. I knew it was fairly recent for you, so
yeah.
That's really cool. You're a baby comedian.
I am. And you know what? I thought I was jaded before I moved to LA, but the power that this city has is unbelievable because I see how jaded I can get.
You're right. Right. Well, and I've watched some of your clips of your shows, and you can be kind of jaded in some of the stuff you dole out to people, but I think that's part of what comedians do, number one. But I love watching you because it just kind of naturally slips out. It's not like it's really even planned. Would you say that's...
It's not planned. It's just the way I've talked and the way I've, spoken to people. And you know what? I was born this way. And you know what?
Okay, now you're stealing Gaga's stuff there. You realize that. Exactly.
But, this is who I was. This is who I was born. And you know what? And especially, being raised by my parents. They created this monster, so...
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, hello. Let's see. Now, I want to make sure I get this correct. Your mother's Irish Catholic.
Yep.
And your father's Jewish.
Oy. Yep. Oy vey.
Oy vey. Boy, that was kind of
guilt.
Yeah.
The guilt growing up. Two very, very strong families who were, very Irish Catholic and very Jewish.
Right.
It always, as a kid, it always kind of felt like we always, me and my brothers, I don't know if they felt the same way. I've never discussed this with them, but it always felt like, we're very close to my parents and we're very close to my brothers. And It always felt like, at these bigger family parties that we always kind of stuck out.
Mm. And at that time, were you really even addressing your, quote, outness? Did you really even know then that you were like, okay, I think I'm gay?
Not when I was young.
Yeah.
Not... consciously, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's interesting because I always have that dialogue with people that I work with. Mm-hmm. And then, some of my colleagues and, obviously out in just public, kind of like what we're having right now. But it is that, was it conscious or was it subconscious and just waiting for the right moment to say, okay, here I am, world. This is really who I am.
Exactly. Because I don't know if it was, I remember having, feelings and thoughts as a kid, but to me, it was just like, oh, everyone feels this way. And It was quite innocent. Mm-hmm. And then, and now I look at pictures when I was younger, and I'm like, for the love of God,
right.
Did no one know? I'm sure everyone knew. But
okay, so paint a picture, one of those pictures where you look at it and go, oh my God, how could they not have known?
How could they have not known? Just my natural reactions. What I was wearing, even in my mother let us pick out our clothes all the time, but even to see what I was wearing in elementary school and, our choices. And even as a kid, my mother used to dress us up in her bathing suits and high heel shoes and took pictures of us. I'm sure this is something that we initiated. And when I say we, it's my, I have a twin brother who did this with me.
Right.
So,
and he's not gay, right?
He is.
He is gay.
Yeah, he's a homo as well.
My.
My
Oh my
parents
God, your
hit the
parents
jackpot.
well, they're not even rolling in their graves, so they did hit the jackpot.
No, oh God, they hit the jackpot. They got the best of every, you know.
Oh, they got a double dose of shame and guilt.
Definitely, definitely. So I mean, I'm sure my mother didn't initiate this, but I'm sure my brother and I just went in there. We tried it on, and my mother was like, "Oh, let's take out the camera. You look cute."
Right. And
she didn't know that she might have had, future RuPaul Drag Race stars. You know, or toddlers.
Well, you never know. Hey,
toddlers.
this is a crazy city, so when you can't get a gig, you might just go try out for RuPaul and see what happens.
Exactly. I mean,
let her know that just make sure you let Ru know that you're an Irish Catholic Jew comedian and that you're broke and you need a gig, and she probably put you on just for fun. So,
exactly.
Plus, I mean, just getting to be with her dressers there, that help the queens get dressed.
Oh my God.
And that would be like
hang out with her.
Yeah, exactly. Just
the
to hang
stories, out. The stories. Oh my gosh.
I'm sure. And, she probably had more stories that you could work into your routine than anybody. So
I'm sure.
Now we're going to be going to break real shortly. And when we come back, one of the things I really want to talk about is, your brother, number one, and, kind of, we're going to go a little bit to the dark side. Scott gave me some permission to kind of go a little bit dark. And we're going to talk about, coming out a little bit because yours was a little bit of a different story. And I want to make sure that the listeners know that there's lots of ways we come out. Sometimes we get brought out, kind of like Scott did. And sometimes we get brought out in some kind of ugly ways. But it's all part of the process. And each individual thing is how everyone goes through it for themselves. So we're going to be coming back in just about, another 30 seconds or so. And before we go, I just want to make sure everyone knows that to find humor in what you're going through is one of the best medicines you can do for getting through any kind of transformation you're going up against, whether it's divorce, coming out, losing someone you really care about. But to laugh at it is the best medicine. And we're going to get Scott to get us laughing here in the next couple of segments. So we're going to be right back with the Coming Out Lounge.
You've been listening to the Coming Out Lounge, a safe space to be you and your truth with coming out coach Rick Clemens. Welcome back to the Coming Out Lounge with your host, Rick Clemens.
Okay, and we're back. Well, at least I think we are. When you're dealing with a comedian, you never know if you're really here or you're somewhere in their head or somewhere else. They could have disappeared during the break. You never know. But I think we're both back here, literally and figuratively. Right, Scott?
Yeah, I'm physically here.
You're physically here. We won't worry about the other piece yet.
No, so, I haven't been there mentally in a long time.
I kind of figured that, and that's part of being a comedian. You just have to mentally, disown yourself to go do some of the shit you guys do.
Exactly.
So before the break, we were talking a little bit about this, and it's kind of funny because it kind of led into my first question for this break. So I'm going to just ask it because it's kind of stupid, but it's one of those dumb questions. So who made you gay?
What made me gay?
Yeah. Or who?
Who made me gay?
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord. I guess God. No, I have no idea. What made me gay? I don't know.
Yeah.
What made me gay? I guess sleeping with men.
Yeah. Okay. But that's part of it. What do you see is you as a gay man? I mean, other than sleeping with guys.
Oh, my Lord. Oh my God! First time I'm lost at words.
Speechless. Wow.
Yeah. What? Oh my God.
Well, let me jump in here because I deal with this. That's like one of those coaching questions. So, what makes you really gay other than sleeping with men? And when I ask clients that, they're like, well, I don't really know. I'm like, well, what if you did know? And so I'll answer it for myself. What I know makes me gay is this appreciation for men. And the act of really being able to love someone and step out of gender being really that important. That's how I define being gay.
Okay. I mean, I guess I can kind of agree with that because, I mean, I've always loved people,
right?
For who they are, the uniqueness of people.
Right.
Someone that's maybe possibly, a little different than the norm, maybe probably for something that they do. That they've found an occupation and a career doing something that they love that isn't mainstream.
Yeah. And I think the mainstream piece is kind of one of those kind of the foundations for what being gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, I don't know how many letters of the alphabet we
Oh my God, it's like every letter of the alphabet now.
Right. There's something all 26 letters of the alphabet stand for something in the gay community. So if just starting your journey, that's probably a really good place for you to go, is go find the handbook and determine what the gay alphabet really means. So all. Is
there a Gay for Dummies book?
I don't know, but if not, you and I should
write one. I'm going to write one.
You write it with the humor, and I'll write it from the coaching perspective. We'll probably have a bestseller, and we won't make any money because, there's no money in books, but at least we'll have written the book. So
exactly.
But so you're obviously out and gay and living in Hollywood. What does this really have as an effect on your life, being gay in the entertainment industry?
I guess it depends on, what you want to do. I mean, gay is the new black now, I guess, someone said that. I don't know. Everyone plays gay now.
Right. I think you're right. I think it's kind of interesting because at least now, trust me, if some of you are listening from the Midwest and stuff, we do respect that things have not progressed quite like they do here on the West Coast, even though God love, we still can't get married out here. But anyway, that's a whole other show. But,
that's a whole other show.
And it truly is. So, but I think as I sit in, my little world of Riverside and looking on the Hollywood, I don't know if that's how you see it, but it seems like everybody just can kind of go play gay when they want to play gay. It's kind of like chic to go play it now.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. I was actually doing this project for the I don't know if I can the FCK H8 campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I can say it, but
yes, we know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. Okay, yeah. I'm surprised I even had a filter to keep myself from saying it. There was this woman. She was playing a part of a lesbian couple, and then she came out to me. She goes, "I just want to tell you something. I'm straight. I'm not really gay."
Wow.
So she came out to me to being straight, but she looked like the lesbian part, and she didn't want to screw up her chances of getting other lesbian parts because she is straight.
Right. So have you ever done, I guess it would kind of be the opposite for you. How much do you have to butch it up to play some of the parts you go play?
You know what? I pick and choose the parts that I submit myself for and I go auditions for, because I really, I don't like pretending that I'm someone that I'm not. I am who I am. I just really can't act to be any other certain way. I don't. So, I mean, I can, gay it up sometimes, or I can just tone it down, depending on whatever I want to do, to get paid. And that's what,
So that seems like a really big transition. And so here's where Rick does the segue to the darker side of Scott Backman.
Yeah.
So you said, I am who I am, but that hasn't always been the easy case for you, correct?
It hasn't.
In fact, just the way you came out was a pretty challenging event in and of itself.
Oh, it definitely was. It definitely was. I was living in Boston, and I had moved to Boston because I needed to get out of New Jersey. I needed to, find myself. And I knew if I ever wanted to come out at the age of, I was 21. If I ever wanted to come out, I needed to move away from my family, from what I was comfortable around. So I had moved up to Boston to finish up college, transferred schools, and, then started experimenting. And I met this guy. I should have seen all the red flags in the beginning, but you know what? It was a new experience for me. I had no idea what was going on. And he was physically abusive, emotionally abusive. And that's how my parents found out that I was gay. That's how maybe they knew, but that's how they heard from me that I was gay. My boyfriend, he was extremely jealous. Who knew what else was going on him?
Right.
And he really hurt me. He beat me up, broke into my apartment and did a lot of damage mentally and physically. So
Wow.
that's how my parents found out, because the police had called my parents to let them know that my apartment was broken into and his boyfriend did it.
Wow. That must have been a really big moment for you and your family.
It was crazy. It was crazy. I mean, I felt like I was like in a dream. Even back now, I felt like it was like an out of body experience watching this whole weekend unfold.
So I'm curious, was your brother out at the time yet, or no?
He was.
Okay.
Yes.
And did he know you were experimenting?
He knew I was. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he knew.
I had told him.
Right.
And it was a whole out of body experience, because I was like, I can't believe this is going on, and because there was just so many emotions at that time. All these situations are happening at once, which I never thought I would ever have to deal with.
But here's the thing, and I think you will probably agree, and thanks so much for opening up and sharing like that, Scott, because that is a big moment, and I know anytime we've gone through anything like that, when you get asked those questions, it takes you back to those moments, and it's really big. But so I appreciate that. But what you just described is truly, I believe, what happens to most of us in the coming out process. It is an out of body experience. Because we will go through and everything's happening all at once. And I try to really work with clients and say, okay, I realize you're starting this journey, whether you're just going, I think I'm gay, or you're clear up to the point of, I know I'm gay, I'm ready to like kick the door open. Regardless of where you are, suddenly everything starts happening simultaneously, regardless of how you're doing it. And it can be truly, as you so beautifully described, an out-of-body experience, because you're like going, and literally saying, what the fuck is going on in my life? How can I be this person that I thought I knew, and suddenly everything is starting to happen?
Exactly. Because, I mean, I had to deal with, first of all, I mean, dealing with him breaking in, hurting me, dealing with the police at that point, and then having to deal with, talking to my parents, coming out to other people. It was draining. I'm like, I can't believe I was able to handle it all. All those emotions, and as well as being able to kind of be, kind of like taking care of my parents through this all. And, having to go to court through this whole thing, and it lingered on forever. So, it certainly was a challenge.
And it's like those kind of challenges also added to you getting to a space, though, where you are now, where you can really be who you are.
Exactly. I mean, I came to it, I just realized this is what it is, and it was a horrible experience. But listen, I'm just glad I didn't have to tell my parents.
Right.
So someone else told them for me.
Right.
So,
And, it is the toughest thing. And this is, again, anybody who's listening, who's sitting in those spaces where I'm just trying to figure this out, each of us has a different experience. And again, I so love that Scott was willing to share what he just shared with us, because there may be some of you who may have a similar experience. It may not be a boyfriend that might physically or emotionally beat you up, but even as you come out of the closet, there may be some people who emotionally beat you up for being who you are. In fact, more than likely, there will be some people. I mean, I'm going to cut to the chase. But, in the next segment, we're really going to talk a little bit more about that. But before we go to break, I really want to make sure anyone who is struggling with this, know that you're going to have moments where people are going to love you, and some people are not going to like you at all. And this is part of the journey. And what I'm encouraging you to do is honor yourself, love yourself, and allow yourself to step into, this is really truly who I am. Because when you can do that, and we're going to go to break here in just about 30 seconds, but when you can do that, you shift your own energy and you start loving yourself at such a high level that even with the naysayers or the people who are bringing negativity into your life, if you can hold on to yourself and really say, I'm worth this and I deserve to be loved, you're going to find it's a whole nother world out there. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about this. And we're also going to talk about how Scott can be funny and turn anything into humor in our gay lives.
You've been listening to The Coming Out Lounge, a safe space to be you and your truth with coming out coach Rick Clemens. Welcome back to The Coming Out Lounge with your host, Rick Clemens.
And we're back, and boy, that break time went really fast today. But we're back to try to find some more humor in gay life. I know the last segment was kind of serious, and again, Scott, thank you so much for really sharing that. And during the break, Scott and I were talking, and it's funny. It's not really funny, but it is kind of funny. He just shared with me that incident he just shared with the boyfriend and being outed to his parents actually happened on Gay Pride weekend in Boston.
Yes, and my parents thought they had come up to check me out on Friday, and then they thought the parade was on Saturday, and they thought that's what Boston was like every weekend.
Yeah. Yes, Gay Pride happens every weekend wherever there's a big gay enclave.
Exactly.
We all get out our rainbow boas and all that. So
nothing like throwing my parents right into it all.
Right. Right. Exactly.
So, but I figure, what? Humor heals. So.
Yeah. So speaking of humor healing, what's the funniest or gayest thing you've ever had to do in your career as a comedian or film or TV?
Oh my God, the gayest thing I've ever had to do.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord. Oof. Gayest thing. I mean, everything's kind of gay. I can make anything gay. Gayest thing I've ever done. Oof. I don't know.
Wow.
Oh
okay, so
God.
What's the gayest thing you've done this last week?
Touched a penis.
Oh my. That's scandalous,
I know.
Luckily, I don't think we're going to have any huge right-wing Christians listening to the Coming Out Lounge, but
oh, that's most of my following.
Oh yes, of course it is. And they're all on Grindr, and they're all on Scruff. So we know exactly where they're hanging out.
Exactly. I love those applications because I like to use them for neighborhood watch. Drive around to different neighborhoods, hop on Grindr, and just see what sort of people live around here.
Exactly. And how many 2.5 kids they have playing out in the yard.
Exactly. I'm just doing my part to keep this a safer America.
I'm sorry. That was funny. For those of you who are just listening and don't know what Grindr and Scruff are,
look it up.
Yeah, look it up. You'll figure it out. But
it's basically like a GPS, right?
Yeah,
it's like a GPS tracking unit
for tracking men. So there you go. I like that, the gay man's GPS for tracking men. You don't have to go do the bear hunt or anything. No snowshoes required. You just power up the app and you can find your man. So,
yeah.
Well, I don't know if you want to say you can find your man. You can find your man. We won't go there.
You can find a man. Let's just say
man.
That for a little while.
May be breathing. They may not. But
who knows? Exactly. Who knows? But you know what?
They will be breathing. So
yeah, they must be breathing or something.
Yeah. I don't know how we got on that tangent, but that's okay. So, do you ever feel like you have to really hide your gay self doing what you do now? I mean, I've seen your reels, and it seems like you're just you.
I'm just me. I don't hide anything. Sometimes I wish I could hide. I don't wish I could hide things that I say, because my filter is very, let's just say it's lost. So
you don't have to filter on this because this is internet radio, so you can say what you want to say. So.
I don't filter anything. I basically say, whatever I want, whenever I want. And it does get me in trouble sometimes, but you know what? I'd much rather leave some sort of impression than no impression at all.
So have you ever gotten any flack up on stage? Well, I know you have. Comedians get flack all the time.
Definitely.
But suddenly the gay quip or the gay reference comes out, and then suddenly the whole audience goes kind of silent.
Yeah, and it's not just gay stuff. I mean, I just make I put myself out there first. I say I'm completely ridiculous, and there's a lot of different stereotypes that I fall into, and I set that up first before I go after all the other stereotypes. Listen,
Okay, so did we miss any of them? We've talked about the Irish Catholic, Jewish gay. Is there any other stereotypes?
Gay. I don't know.
For our gay community, you're kind of a little bear cub.
Yeah, I'm a little hairy.
Yeah, a little hairy.
I'm black sometimes.
I'd like to see that.
Exactly. It comes from the inside. It comes from the inside.
Okay, I get it because you know what? I'm a big black diva inside myself. So when I get a certain inkling inside myself, she just comes out.
Exactly. And you know what? And I've always been intrigued because there's some sort of, I don't know what it is about gay men and black women that just migrate towards each other.
So I'm coming out right now. My big black diva inside, her name is Sista Tolja.
Sista Tolja.
Yeah. Sista Tolja, don't mess with her, okay? So when she comes out, she comes out even when there's no mind altering or alcohol involved. None of that, because I don't do mind altering stuff anyway. But alcohol I do. Yeah. She can come out then, but she can come out even without anything. She just shows up. So.
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah.
A couple of beers, a dirty martini brings out everything in me.
Oh, it's okay. So now we have something else in common. Dirty martini.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and the dirtier the better. So.
Ugh. So
what kind of, in your world, obviously there's lots of competition to get on the stage and, be in shows and stuff. But when you're sitting there watching another comedian, is there any kind of comedy that really bugs you?
Is there anything that really bugs me? I mean, I can be prudish at times. And when people go into like graphic, like sexual comedy, it kind of makes me uncomfortable. Because I'm not one to talk about my own sexual escapades. Well, I mean, if they ever happen. I mean, that always kind of...
Okay, wait. You just said you touched a penis this week, so obviously something else.
But that's all I said. I can just be kind of prudish sometimes. There's no comedy really bothers me. Because everyone finds humor in what they find humor in. And people are allowed to laugh at what they want to laugh at. Right. So if that's what they want to get up on stage and talk about, go ahead. Right. You know what? It is what it is. So,
have you ever felt any backlash from other comedians for being gay?
I haven't, thankfully. I mean, thankfully,
it would seem weird to me if you did, because I think comedians are kind of they're their own anomaly of a quote. I wouldn't say a minority, but they're like their own little group of people in the entertainment industry that you really got to work hard to really be who you are.
Exactly. I mean, you definitely have to, when you get up on stage, you have to put down all your walls. Right. Anything, I mean, the audience is going to know if you're holding back and if you're just kind of faking it. And I don't think that's what people want. And as someone that's always liked watching stand-up comedy and different, I love physical comedy and sketch comedy. Right. And you can always spot someone that's holding back or, feel like something's being forced. Mm-hmm.
Well, and God knows we don't want to force anything, because then it doesn't turn out well. So.
No. So again, you can't rape the willing. So
okay, we're going some places here that I wasn't expecting, but that's totally cool.
Exactly.
So that's what it's all about. So
that's my borderline Tourette's too.
Yeah. I borderline. I think it's full scale, but anyway.
Pretty much.
So I'm just a little curious about, this whole thing of, going out on stage and opening up. It's, in my own mind, it's almost like you come out every time you go out on stage.
I do, because I have to explain people to kind of like the method of my madness. Right. To let people know, what made me be, what I'm doing.
Right.
And especially starting out, you have to, making a name for yourself, you have to do a lot of introductions.
Right.
Before you start just getting up on stage and people knowing exactly what your background is and why I am doing the crazy stuff that I'm doing. Why is he pulling up his shirt? Because I talk about wearing Spanx.
Right.
And, and the difficulty it is taking it off.
Right.
So that's
why it's got to be really difficult once you get home and, there's Mr. Hottie and it's like, oh, excuse me one moment.
That's exactly, because it's not pretty taking it off.
Right.
Because then it just pushes everything out. Like you have pizza dough. It's probably easier to cut it off than it is to take it off, because you really need like 4 arms.
Right.
And then by the time you take your shirt off, Mr. Hottie's out the door because he's like, what the hell is this?
Right. It's like Pillsbury Doughboy just appeared and I'm gone. So
yeah, exactly. It looks good either on or off, not halfway.
Right. And who would have thunk that this was part of the gay man's life as well? But, hey, it's not just for straight women. So there we go.
It's not.
Right. So we're going to go to break in a couple of minutes, but I want to go back just a little bit to the brothers, because I know there's a very important other brother in your life. Not that your gay brother isn't important, but there's another very important brother. And we've got a couple of minutes here before we break. So your youngest brother is part of your inspiration for brain tumor awareness that you're very involved in.
Exactly. I mean, my younger brother, he's taught me, so many things to live your life to the fullest. Because when you experience something that's so life-changing,
right.
He was diagnosed with a brain tumor back in 2008, 2009. It was a bunch of years ago. Right. And, it just kind of broke my heart. And I was like, oh my God, I wish it was me and not you. Because he has the biggest heart of anyone on the world. And this is the last thing that, I would want him to go through with. But he's the strongest person as well. And I knew with his positive attitude, he had this brain tumor removed and he came out like a champ. He was out of the hospital in a couple of days later. And, I think it was, and he definitely says it was his positive attitude that took him through it.
Right. And I think that's really powerful, because this is where I always try to take people, and we'll come back and finish this up in the next segment, but coming out isn't just a gay thing. Every one of us is coming out of something. We're going through something, and to come out of it and be positive, be strong, walk through the negativity, it's something that each one of us deals with each and every day. And in the next segment, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of Scott's loves for the brain tumor awareness and some other things that just might surprise you when we come back from the break. This is Coming Out Coach Rick, and we'll be right back.
You've been listening to The Coming Out Lounge, a safe space to be you and your truth with Coming Out Coach Rick Clemens. We'll be right back after these messages.
I look into the window of my mind.
Have you ever wondered why America is facing such a healthcare crisis? Then join us for Dr. Peter DeVette Live every weekday at 1 p.m. Central on TogiNet.com.
Doctor, give me the news.
He'll answer your health care and medical questions and share with you his knowledge and opinions on topics ranging from holistic health care to spirituality and wellness. You'll find out about the roots of your health care challenges versus symptom management, the holistic approach, how the spirit, mind, and body connection is critical in both the development of illness and the solution to illness, how emotions are directly related to physical illness, and how to read your body like a book. Dr. DeVette will also go through your personal questions and how you can navigate through the illness maze. Supplements, medications, therapies, treatment options, surgeries, all kinds of things related to your health. Dr. Peter DeVette Live every weekday at 1 p.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Attention parents and teachers. Here is a series of alarming yet true facts about the current state of teaching reading in the United States. The federal government has spent close to $500 billion to improve reading ability, and yet we still have over 8 million students who cannot read on grade level. 440,000 students who have a total reading vocabulary of 50 words or less, and a national dropout rate of 1 new student every 26 seconds. Sadly, one of these could be yours. Fortunately, it's not too late to help. Introducing The Reading Show with Dr. Joe, a fast-paced, highly informative, easy-to-listen-to show led by nationally recognized reading authority, Dr. Joe Lakovich. For more on Joe on the show, check out his website, failurefreeonline.com. Listen in this week to learn amazingly simple ways to turn this problem around. The Reading Show with Dr. Joe, with your host, Dr. Joe Lakovich, Fridays at 10 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Mark Lipinski is coming to TogiNet. It's Creative Mojo with Mark Lipinski, a live 2-hour show Wednesday afternoon starting at 2 Central on TogiNet.com. Creative Mojo. It's fun, entertaining, informative, inspirational, and illuminating. Lipinski has worked on such shows as Oprah, The View, The Joan Rivers Show, and Ricky Lake. He's busy, but he's got the drive to share with Creative Mojo, dedicated to the modern crafter and crafting lifestyle. Dive into the info and enjoy everything from celebs to entertainment news to recipes, quilting and needlework, knitting, painting, woodworking, Christmas crafts, and so much more. This show boldly encourages you to discover and harness your own creative spirit by living creatively every day. For more on Mark and the show, check out marklipinski.com. Don't miss the fun. It's Creative Mojo with Mark Lipinski, Wednesday afternoon starting at 2 Central on TogiNet.com.
Welcome back to the Coming Out Lounge with your host, Rick Clemens.
All right, we're back. We're selling into that final segment of the show. And let's see, we've talked about comedy, we've talked about Grindr, we've talked about brain tumors. We're going to keep talking about the brain tumors just a little bit. We talked about Jewish, Irish, Catholic. What haven't we covered about you, Scott?
Oh, my Lord. That's just a start.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about your brother. So he got the brain tumor back in 2008, 2009, came out of it, positive attitude, and now you really donate a lot of your efforts and time to this cause, correct?
I do, because it's just, something that hit so close to home, and it can be so tragic. Depending on, what type of tumor it is. Thankfully, his was not cancerous. He didn't need any sort of therapy afterwards. But, to bring awareness to it, and there's just a lot of chemicals out there that they're saying that caused this.
Right.
Happened, in the area where I grew up. So.
Amazing. So what was the most inspiring thing that he did that you still just hang on to during that time?
Just him, of course, everyone was so upset about it, but it was just his positive attitude and his zest for life that really just kind of, pulled him through it, and just he was kind of comforting everyone else about it, letting everyone know that, he was going to be fine. It's not a big deal. They're just going to go in, crack his head open, take it out, and he'll be fine. And that's exactly what happened.
Sounds like a really inspiring individual. So you're lucky. It sounds like you're really lucky to have him.
Oh, my God. He's the brother that everybody wants.
Wow.
So, and since then, he does everything. He lives for the day.
Right.
He's an active skydiver. He loves going skydiving. He just does all this stuff, that he just, anything that he wants to do, he goes and does it. And he's not one to complain about, anything that he's handed in life. And whoever he's around, it's such a joy for everyone to have him around.
Wow, that's very cool. So outside of the brain tumor thing, there's a couple other things you really enjoy volunteering and doing. And so you love working with the elderly.
I do. I love the elderly, and I love the elderly for their stories. They have so much history, and they love, they just need someone. They want to just tell people their stories. So there's an assisted living home here in Los Angeles and Hollywood that, I go and I just socialize with them. And there's just so much that they have to offer and so much wisdom. And, and I feel like, a lot of them, maybe because I'm scared that it could happen to me, if I'm older and single, and just kind of forgotten about. And, their families put them in these places. And, the thing that I would love to, another thing I love is animals. I've always volunteered at different, rescues and, help my friends out with their animals as well. And I would love to combine the two, and open some sort of rehabilitation where you rehabilitate the elderly with animals.
Right.
Because
that just sounds awesome, because it is one of those things that as a comedian, I know you know this, but the humor heals so much too. But then when you start to put different pieces of our worldly puzzle together, it's amazing the transformations that can happen when you allow something that seems so simple as an animal coming to visit, at an elderly home, or even just taking a group of young people to a home, or taking a group of people to an animal shelter just even for a couple hours to just hang with the animals and play with them. It's so therapeutic on both sides of the fence.
Oh, it definitely. And there's something that, that animals, the effect that they have on all sorts of people.
Right.
That the world's so great then.
Right. And I love this piece that you brought up about the elderly, because I remember I lost my grandfather probably 3 years ago. He was my last living grandparent. And he's one of those people that I say, if there is heaven and there is the pearly gates and somebody's going to be waiting, if he doesn't go through those gates, I don't have a chance in hell. I just don't, because he was such a beautiful, saintly person. Mm-hmm. And his wisdom and the stories that he would share were just so valuable to me as I, came through. And what I loved about him so much is he never once judged me. And if he did judge me for who I was as a gay man, he never let it come forward. Because in his mind, people are people. And to me, that was such a powerful way to look at life. That people are just people. And I think so many times we put our elderly in places as almost like, you're done. You've lived. See ya. And in reality, there's so much more to give. Even if they are to a place where they can't do anything, there's still something to give, even if it's just a little bit of a story they share with you. So it's got to be completely rewarding for you to get to go spend time with these people and really give of yourself in that way.
Oh, completely. Because they come from all different backgrounds, and, they've experienced things that, in my lifetime that we'll never experience.
Right. Yep. So. Yeah, exactly. So you've done a lot of interviews, you've been asked a lot of questions, you've done all this stuff. What's a question that you've never been asked that you wish somebody would ask you?
What would I love to be? Oh, what would I want to be asked? I've never been asked. Oh my God. I usually don't wait for questions to be asked. I usually just give out my answer, whatever I want to say.
Right. And it's interesting because I ask almost every guest that question, and it's kind of a stumper because it's like, okay, nobody's ever asked me this. So, a couple of shows ago, I had another coach on with me, and we were talking about our coming out process because we both came out very late in life. And I said, what was that thing that you never got asked as you were coming through that experience that you wish somebody would have asked? And she was really profound in her answer. She goes, the one thing nobody ever asked is how my coming out was affecting me as a mother. And because she had 2 kids. And she goes, they were all concerned about, the coming out process and, what it was going to do to us as a family and, you know, how the kids were going to come through it. But nobody ever asked her, what was it doing to her and her self-perception of herself as a mother? And I thought that was a really profound answer to, you know, go along with the question I had asked. So, and sometimes I think it is those questions that it does take some time to think about it. So if you think of something as we're finishing up this segment and everything, just pop it out. So I'm going to kind of jump into the last part where I asked a whole bunch of questions. But before we do that, talk about a little bit where you're going to be in the next few days or the next couple of weeks. You're going to be doing some stuff at San Diego Pride this weekend, correct?
Yeah, next week. Well, actually, this Sunday, I'm at Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank. And then next Thursday for San Diego Pride, I'll be traveling down there. I'll be doing 2 shows on Thursday the 19th at Martuni's above 4th.
Cool.
For their Laugh Out Proud tour. And then I'm looking forward to next month traveling back to New Jersey, visiting my family, going to my grandfather's 95th birthday party.
Wow.
I'm going to head up to P-Town for Carnival and, make some bad decisions and hang out with my friends.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to be in P-Town right before you, so I'll make sure I leave some of it for you. So we've just got a couple of minutes to go. So I'm going to do my rapid round questions that I always ask most of my guests. So try to just quickly answer them. So what's the funniest thing about being gay?
Just kind of being able to, be outrageous. It's a great excuse for getting away with a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Who's your hero?
Who's my hero? I would have to say my younger brother, Jonathan.
Mm-hmm. And who would you like to have dinner with who's a gay icon, dead or alive?
Probably Joan Rivers.
Okay. What hurts you the most about being gay?
I'm sorry?
What hurts you the most about being gay?
What hurts me the most about being gay? Probably being fisted.
Mm.
No, I'm just kidding. Hurts me the most? That's what hurts the most.
Okay.
Hurts me the most about being gay? People's perceptions and what people, I'm not just, people's perceptions and what they, assume.
Right. Cool. All right, Scott. Well, I have to tell you, we've got 30 seconds left. It has been so much fun having you on the show, and thank you for just sharing yourself so genuinely. And I look forward to doing it again another time, another place with you. And next week, when we come back to the Coming Out Lounge, we're going to have my guest, Akil Campbell, who is with Shades of Pride from Raleigh, North Carolina. We're going to talk about the duality of being a dual minority in the gay culture. Thanks again, Scott. Look forward to talking to you.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Rick.
All right. Have a great week, everybody, and step up, and step into living your powerful truth each and every moment of your life.
Thank you for joining us today with the Coming Out Lounge with your host, Rick Clemens. Make sure you tune in with us next week, same time, same place, for the Coming Out Lounge.